All right, we're here for another Ask Me 3 series at the Bruce R. Watkins Cultural Center. Very nice. And we're with Sharon McGee today. Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you.
All right, so here's how we do this. I'll
Okay.
ask you a question, then you ask me one. We'll go back and forth.
Okay.
And very casual.
Okay.
All right, so my first question for you, you've been in real estate for a while. Well, why real estate?
So, actually, this is my second go-round. So my first go-round, I did it part-time back in the 90s. And so, my career started to take off. And so I was doing it part-time for extra money. So it was never about people, houses, passion. It was all about extra money, okay? Because I needed something flexible. And so fast forward to 5 years ago, my life was taking a different turn. And so I had to make some different plans. And I kept thinking, what can I do? What can I do? And real estate was always in the back of my mind. And so when the opportunity presented itself, I renewed my license or got back in there. And so I said, I'm gonna give it 1 year, full time, all in, and let's see how this works. And I'm going on year 6. So.
Well, and you've been incredibly successul, and I can't ever see you like only being about the money because you're such a caring and giving person.
Yeah.
So
that's the old Sharon, this old version of me. So that young version, I was all about dollars back then. And so, and the other side of that is I was a young, married with small children, had just literally graduated college, and we were wanting to buy our first house. And so my mindset is such that I had a realtor, but I didn't think she knew what she was doing. So I kept thinking, I can do this better. And so I thought, well, I'm going to do this myself, because we wanted to buy a house. And so I wanted to be very well educated in what we were doing. And so that was one reason why I did it. And so, but then once I saw the money side, I was like, okay, we just paid off all our bills. We just spent all of our money on a down payment, and now we're broke. So how can I furnish this house without getting back into debt? And so all of my commissions checks were for new furniture, washer and dryer, stuff like that. So I had a purpose back then. This time my purpose is really about the passion side, the helping people. And it goes towards, which I know we're going to talk about, but part of that, helping the community strive for wealth building, financial management, all that good stuff, because having a home and being invested in a home, that's your first step, having home ownership. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I was the first homeowner in my family.
Really?
Yes.
That's exciting.
I was the first homeowner out of all my generations.
That's awesome.
Yeah. My grandmother owned her home, but that was it. So, yeah.
You're a trendsetter.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways, yeah. Right. So I was going to ask you, so I had been in the office maybe 4 years before I actually knew who Mike Frazier was, because I would see this tall guy walking through, and I would see him and you would smile and we would say hi, but I never introduced myself and you never introduced yourself. Not that that's just how it was. And so we really didn't introduce ourselves here probably until the last 2 years. And so the more that I got to know you and the more I got to talk to you, I was like, Mike Frazier's a cool guy. But, as we have interaction, I always sit and say, who is the real Mike Frazier? What is it about Mike Frazier that people don't know?
Boy, I am who I am. I'm the same at work as I am at home.
Okay.
Usually. It drives my wife crazy because I like to have fun.
Yeah.
And,
what kind of fun? What kind of fun?
Oh, I'm goofy.
I see you as a sports guy. Are you a sports guy?
Yeah, I like sports.
Okay.
I played sports in high school and college, and so I like watching sports.
Okay.
Family's really important to me.
Okay. I can see that.
I love my wife and my kids and my extended family. I'm from Kansas City. Most of my extended family lives here. My wife's extended family. We do a lot of stuff with family. I think that's kind of what drives me and why I like building relationships within the ReeceNichols family, because I do feel like that. I feel like you're part of my family. I mean, we talk about personal stuff a lot more probably than we talk about business stuff, and that's really who I am. I don't pretend to be someone that I'm not. So I don't really know who I am.
I think that's a good answer, because and the reason why I asked that is because just while we were waiting, to get started, I really never knew how many children you had, and so, but you're right, you have created a culture at ReeceNichols to where we all feel like a family, and I think that's because of you. I mean, like I said, I've been there going on 6 years, and I've never felt like I was an outsider, and even though you and I really just connected in the last 2 years, I feel like I can come to you with anything and say, hey, Mike, I need to talk to you, or, send you a text late night with a funny emoji or something like that, and not feel like, oh, I shouldn't bother the CEO. I don't feel like that. So.
And that's the kind of culture we want, right? Because on the outside, we have 2,800 agents, and we look like this massive company, and we do a lot of good things. We sold 22,000 houses last year, and that's a lot.
That's a lot.
But we only have 200 employees. And I want it, part of my goals and part of my drive is to make sure I know a lot of those 2,800 agents, and I know a lot of them. But I want to know them more than just Sharon McGee is an agent in our office that's been here 6 years. I want to know that her son works right down the street from here, and I've met him, and he's a great person. And I want to know more about people, and because I do think that's important. We're in a really competitive environment, and our competitors are trying to take our agents, and I want to make sure our agents know that this is the place to be, not because of the commission split, is because of everything else. Because of what we provide, and because of all of our staff and our employees and our agents are willing to help. And I think that goes back to Jerry Reece and what he tried to create, and my goal is to make sure that continues and that we have that great environment. That's a great question.
All right.
All right, second one for you. So we started an African American initiative in November of 2019. Little did we know we were being in the middle of a pandemic, and we kind of got sidetracked a little bit, but maybe that was the best thing for us because we're really organized now. So thank you for being a part of that. So, but we're taking some baby steps, and that's fine. That's what we have to do. Why do you think homeownership is still challenging for Black Kansas Cityans?
So, part of that question is kind of a twofold, but I'll give the best answer possible that I think, because again, this is just my opinion. I think it still has to do with the discriminatory laws that were put into place for Blacks that could not purchase prior to HUD and FHA decided to, hey, let's do some things. So you have that, you have the redlining, and even though we've come forward, those lingering effects still take hold, because the mentality and the education and the lack of credit, all of those things have a tremendous impact on our community. And the other side of that is pay gap. There is still an issue with a pay gap between people of color and white people. There is a tremendous gap, and so I think those are two big reasons why. And I can't say enough. I mean, we're sitting right here off of look, I don't even know where I'm at, but off of Swope Parkway and about 47th Street. But if you go 2 blocks or a few blocks east or west, that's that dividing line. So we're on the other side of Troost, and this is the side where your housing property values are supposedly low, but you go two or 3 blocks to the west and they shoot up. I have a house right now listed on 42nd and Chestnut. That's a beautiful, gorgeous Craftsman that was completely remodeled for $215,000. But if if it was, 4 or 5 blocks to the west, it would have easily been $100,000 more. So.
Yeah. So we've got this initiative going, and I think all of us would say we want to go faster, but we can't go fast. And we've got hundreds of years to make up, right? So in your mind, are we moving the right direction? Are we taking the right steps?
I think we're making some progress, right? And I think that part of that we can do is for ReeceNichols. And again, I applaud you of saying, hey, let's take this on and let's make a difference in the community. I applaud you for that. I think that some of the things that could be helpful is recruiting more Black agents. And even ReeceNichols leadership. ReeceNichols leadership, I don't know that you have a person of color on staff, but I just think that will be helpful as well. It's hard for African Americans it's hard for them to say, I want to buy a house from you, but you don't look like me, right? But when there are no other choices, they will just say, okay, I have to choose a white person or whomever. I have to go with whomever is there because I'm ready to buy. Whereas white people don't have to do that, right? And I'm just being really honest.
No, we want to be honest. But that's not unique, right?
Yeah,
so a young person may want to work with a young person, right? An older person may not want to. So we're all drawn to people that we connect with.
There you go.
And I think that's important, and we've got to do a better job.
We got to do a better job, and we have to do a better job too as agents and as a company-wide to make sure. When I say that the playing field is even across the board for everyone. I mean, we want in order to recruit the agents, we got to do things to help them to keep them on board, you know, because it is hard, and it's just for agents, period, because you are self-employed, you're 100% commission, and it is hard to try to tackle and say, this is not for me because I'm not making money fast enough, I can't feed my family. But it's even harder for some other ethnicities, Sure. And so we just have to figure out how do we balance that and how do we retain? How do we keep that retention going? I mean, for me, like I said, I gave myself 1 year, and it was very, very hard. And I'll never forget sitting in my broker's office saying, I've done everything you guys told me to do. I've been to every training, I've done Buffini, I've done everything, and nothing is working. I've run through my savings, and I don't think I'm going to make it. And she said, let's go through everything that you've done and let's talk about what you've done. And I can't say that it was her, me, or maybe the seeds that I planted, but probably 2 to 3 weeks after that, it was like the heavens opened up and I just started getting transactions left and right. So. And
that's usually, that usually happens, right? You've got to stay long enough.
You got to stay long enough to see everything.
Well, I think those are great comments, and those are things we're working on and we'll continue to work on.
Yeah. So I kind of asked you my question in the midst of your question, which was, what are you guys doing when we were talking about leadership and recruiting more agents that are people of color? And I know that that's part of our initiative.
Right.
And so what are the steps? What are the action plans that are being put into place to do that?
Right. So it starts with me talking to all of our department heads, all of our branch managers, and making a concerted effort that you need to open up your vision to other people and people of color, and not just African Americans, but we need Hispanic and we need Asian people. I mean,
we need a very diverse.
We need
group.
a very diverse group because Kansas City is very diverse. So we're having really a lot of success hiring Black agents in Lee Summit. So we've hired 5 or 6 of Black agents out there, and some of them are doing really, really well, and some younger agents, and they really are taking off and get what we're trying to do. And you talked about a little bit the relationship side of it, and they love that side. Mm-hmm. We've had some success up north, 2 or 3 agents up there in the last 3 months. So I think from the agent side, we're doing a really good job. I think part of our challenge is the corporate office is in Leawood, and it's very difficult for us to hire people that aren't right around them. Most of the people live within a general vicinity of the corporate office. Now, with the advent that we're working more from home, I think we're going to be able to widen that range a little bit, and we've got to do a better job. And our HR department is actively pursuing people of color. So part of it is just being in that mindset constantly. Again, it doesn't go as fast as we want it to go. And part of what we're doing and what you're responsible for is making sure everybody that we come in contact knows that we are making this effort, and we need your help. We need people to come in and join us. And it's kind of the chicken or the egg thing, right? We need people to buy. We need people of color to be on our agent-based team. We need people of color on our corporate office team. And it's like, which comes first? And we're trying to go on all fronts, and so maybe that's slowing us down a little bit, but I think that's the way to go, because I think as we build the agent part and the corporate team part, then people of color will look inside of our company and say, okay, they are serious. They are doing this the right way. And again, I want to always move fast, but I don't want to make mistakes, right? I don't want to, and I've said that to the African American team. I don't want to get out in front and then people say, you're not following up. You're not doing what you say you're going to do. So we've got to take initiatives in a slow process. We got to say, this is what we're going to do, and we got to go do it, and then add to that every single time.
And part of that taking it slow is making sure that you choose. We pick the right agents. Even though we are self-employed and we interview brokers are also interviewing us to make sure it's a right fit. And so, I like that as well, that you're taking it slow, but we also want to make sure that the agents are the right fit, because while we know being a real estate agent, there's high turnover, but like you said, you can last if we have the right fit and we get the right people and the right training. And one thing about ReeceNichols that I love, that I always tell people when I get phone calls about, hey, I'm thinking about, I just got my license, I'm thinking about ReeceNichols, what are your thoughts? I always tell people we have the best training, hands down. I can't even talk bad about that, because it is the best training. Not only is it really good training, our culture is such that our brokers are hands-on. The doors are always open. We can go in, we can sit down, we can have a conversation, where there is a tough conversation or, hey, I just need some help. The brokers are there for us. And I'm not just speaking about my broker, I'm saying all the brokers. So I think that's a positive thing about us as well.
That's great. Okay, last one for you.
Okay.
If you could go back in time to that 20-year-old Sharon McGee and tell her one thing that would make a difference for the rest of your life, what would that be?
Well, I was just 20 yesterday, right?
Okay.
I think I probably would tell her that the world is bigger than she thought it was, and the possibilities are endless. Because the 20-year-old Sharon didn't even know that there was so much that she could accomplish. And I was kind of stuck in a box. I grew up just down the street. So I was not privileged enough to be able to go outside of Kansas City. And so the 20-year-old Sharon, I think I would say there's more than just Kansas City, and take advantage and explore, and just go for it. Because the how old I am now, Sharon, she does not have a problem going for anything and exploring and taking chances. So
it's interesting you say that. I said that to my boys. Like, you got to go do things outside of Kansas City. And my oldest son went to Detroit, worked for Ford. My younger son is in the Army, and he was in Georgia. And both of them, after 18 months away, is like, I want to get back to Kansas City. Because we do live in a really great place with great people. And yes, we have work to do from from a diversity perspective and inclusion perspective. I think every town does, but I think we're more open to let's make this happen. Let's try it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that same conversation I've had with all three of my children. 2 of them have listened, 1 has not yet, but she's getting there. So
she's still young.
She, bless her heart, she's still young. So we're almost there. But yeah, this is, I love our city, always have. When I do travel, I'm kind of like your boys, I'm ready to come back. Cost of living, just, housing, people, everything. I do love it. Don't like this heat today,
Whoa.
but
good thing we're inside.
But yeah, and I think, just to end what we were just talking about is this, that I think what you're doing, again, don't mean to keep throwing praises your way, but I would just say that the initiative, the effort, everything that you're doing, I just applaud you on that, because some people would shy away from it, or some people would say, this is not my problem. And you're not doing that. You're saying this is a problem. This is something that we all need to try to figure out, how can we figure this thing out together. And what you're also saying is that, these things happen. I can't ignore it, but what I'm not going to do is let it continue. And how can we turn this corner? And so I just want to thank you for that, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So with the lack of affordable homes in Kansas City or in the community, since we're trying to figure out how can we make an impact in the urban core, there is a lack of affordable homes.
Yes.
There's a lot of gentrification going on, and so it's just really making it tougher for African Americans to purchase. And so my question to you is, as part of our initiative, I know we talked about partnering with the city and maybe trying to figure out what we could do. Have you come up with an action plan or some sort of idea partner that would be beneficial in trying to create affordable housing in the area?
That's probably the toughest question you could ask me. I think that's even tougher than, being inclusive in our company. Because I can control that. I can't control this, because you hit on we've got to get the city to help us a little bit. What I know for sure from a development or builder perspective, it's going to be difficult for them to do one-off things. Like, if we've already been down, Fabian and I went down into the inner city and looked at some blocks, and speaking of gentrification, they don't want to take out some of the people that are living there. But a big developer wants 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks where they can come in. So it's a difficult, you got the developer on one side, you got the city on the other, and we're stuck in the middle, kind of saying, well, can we get this together? I think we need more meetings with the city just to say, how can we help? Are there city blocks where we can look at doing affordable housing? I think we can get some of our developers and builders that we work with on a consistent basis to do some stuff. Right now, with the cost of lumber, we may want to wait till it comes down a little bit to make sure that is truly affordable, because I think we need to be in that $200,000 to $250,000 range. So, I think it's going to take a concerted effort from everybody, from the city, from us, from the developer. I think we can get there, but I think I've got to go back and spend some time with the city and say, what kind of things can you do? What kind of things are available to us? How can I leverage those things? And then go find those builders, developers that can help us. But in order to really make a difference, we want a project that's scalable, so that people we can change that area of the city. I do believe and they've already done some stuff over off Prospect by the police department, where they put in a retirement center. If you did it like that, if you put in the retirement center, then build in the blocks around it, the coffee shops will come, the convenience shops will come. It will work.
Right.
It's just a matter of getting that plan together, and can we mass it enough that a builder developer can do 40 homes in there, and not just 3 on this block and 2 on this block. I don't know. It will take us too long to get to make real change that way.
Yeah, and I think part of my idea was whether it could be. I didn't know that builders look for 3 to 5 blocks. You know, I was thinking 1 block at a time, like 1 step at a time, which could be a great logo slogan. But I also thought about, we can't. I don't want to put anyone out. But the city has so many vacant properties right now that's part of land bank that, that could be something that us or some type of partnership, we would take over those homes and gut them and rehab them and turn them into nice homes for someone else. So that's kind of the idea I was thinking.
Right, and gentrification is a huge problem, right?
Yeah.
I think we need to watch that, and
you're right.
But can we take Mrs. Smith, who's lived on this block for 60 years?
True.
Can we take her out and redo that house, or build a brand new house and put her back into this new house?
Okay.
Is there a way to do that? Is Mrs. Smith going to be happy with that? And that's where I really need the city, and then we need to go to that neighborhood development area and say, hey, talk to Mrs. Smith and say, hey, if we did this around you and made this city block better, but you had a brand new house, is that acceptable to you? And sometimes it will be, and sometimes it won't.
Right. And then that's why we need the city, because if Mrs. Smith stays in her house, but the house next door, the property value has tripled, then the city needs to come in and say Mrs. Smith is grandfathered in at a slow increase versus this house.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because it does her she can't. It doesn't help her.
Right.
It actually forces her out because she cannot afford her taxes.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
That's great. Well, great discussion.
Thank
we
you.
hit on some hard things that we got to talk about, but that is stuff we need to talk about as a company.
Yes.
And I appreciate you more every day that I know you. And thanks for all you're doing for your clients, but also for the company. And
thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
It's been fun.
Thank you.
All right.